Okay, I think that my messy bun. I think that we'll give it a couple minutes because people kind of struggle in a little bit. But thank you guys for joining us. We are so pleased with how the event last night went with the happy hour. Scott was great. I feel like everybody who came really took something away and had opportunities to ask him one-on-one questions. And we just like really got to know each other as a group, and I think some good connections were made. So thank you for the people who came. Appreciate you. And then, yeah, like Ariel said, let's start with weekly wins or challenges. So if you have something you'd like to share, go ahead and put your name in the chat box. And Ariel is monitoring that. So what worked for you this week? What was the challenge?
Yeah, we had some really great interaction last week on wins and challenges. So even if we just have a few people share this week, that would be fantastic. I think it's really helpful to hear what other people are doing, what other people are, what everyone's doing well at, what maybe people are struggling with. Because the whole idea of this is to be, focused on yourself, focused on your own business, but like being in a large group and doing it together, I think really helps with the I don't know, the synergy and just, everyone staying on track.
Yeah. So who had a win this week? Let's start with like positive focus. So put your name in the chat box if you had a win, or I mean, there's only a few of us here right now. People tend to trickle in a little bit as we go. So feel free to unmute yourself and go ahead and talk. I know that Ariel and I are one away from doubling our goal for the entire month, and it's only the 22nd. So we are very excited and blessed for that. And I think we're very aware of this challenge and you guys being a part of that. So what other weekly wins did we have? 2 wins on Sunday. So Alexis, will you please unmute yourself and tell us about your wins?
Yes. So on Sunday, I was able to get 2 clients under contract. One was one that we have been on the search for a while. And I feel like really with her was just pretty much having regroups and staying in touch every time that we went on a showing, just to open up our inventory and just, setting the right expectations up front, especially with the price point she was within. So we were able to be successful on Sunday. And then the other client that I had that went under contract on Sunday, with them, it was pretty much, making sure that they understood how fast the market was picking up. They started to recognize homes that they liked, going under contract pretty quick. So pretty much with them, they were very open and very easy to adapt to the market and the changes. So they were just ready, willing, and able. Once we did some tours over the weekend, when they found that perfect home, and they were like, we don't want to lose it, or how would we feel if we just let this one go and it went under contract tomorrow. So that's how I was able to get them to go ahead and submit an offer. But yeah, those were my 2 wins.
That's amazing. So definitely the first one, it sounds like staying in touch and follow up was huge for you.
Yes, definitely. And just really regrouping. Her price point was around $250, $260. So of course, when, and she's a relocation client. So of course, when people come here, they first think of, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill. Those are the areas that I want to be in. But, really having those conversations and regroups about other areas outside of the triangle where, you can get exactly what you're looking for, and just not giving up even if you don't see anything, right in those areas at first, but, providing the information and just information about the area so that they can see other options and open up their inventory.
That's awesome. We'll get into this today because the value add that we want to bring in today is about a really cool tool for market data that you can use with your clients that Movement gave us. But I was listening to a recommended podcast from Ariel yesterday, and it's Small Town Murder. But what's cool about it is at the beginning they tell you about the town and they tell you about the demographics. And one of the things they talk about is housing. And so one of these towns, this podcast is a little bit older and I'm starting from the beginning. So this was a little while ago, was in Massachusetts. And they were talking about how expensive this town was because the entry-level price point was $400 and just a typical like 3,000 square foot decent house was around $600. And that struck me because I was like, wow, we're there. Like, we're really there now, right? And so for people like Alexis's clients, being creative, finding alternative solutions, being able to give them the data that they need, and just consistent follow-up and regrouping, like she said, can be huge key. Love it. Yeah. Who else had a win? Oh, did you have something to say, Ariel?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, and actually, with those second clients you talked about, you saw some homes, unfortunately, they were missing out and they didn't really understand the market. And unfortunately, that's a reality for a lot of our buyers right now, especially in going into spring market like this, where they're used, maybe haven't been in the market for a while or whatever, and they just don't understand exactly how the market is going to be working. And sometimes they do have to lose a couple to realize, hey, I need to move on this house. If I like it, I don't want to lose it, kind of thing. And I think that's going to roll really nicely into our 20-minute topic for today, talking about the real estate report card. But if one more person would like to share, we've got a few more minutes on our wins challenges piece of the agenda today. Who's going to be a brave soul?
If you don't, I'm going to call you out. I already have somebody in mind.
Listen.
Myra, what you got?
I think for me, at least, it's been a little bit more on the challenging side. And I think a big part of that for me personally is just my own personal situation. So I have 4 kiddos. 2 of them are in school, which is awesome. 2 of them are not. So I have little gremlins running around with me all day. So it's really buckling back down again and getting really intentional and sticking to and being consistent with my time block and my schedule. Because I had a couple days last week where either something popped in or I just didn't do my schedule in the right way to accommodate for interruptions or to accommodate for things that might pop up, which then threw everything else out of kind of whack. So for this week, just going in and making sure I allow time for those pop-ins or distractions, or now we've got to handle this real quick, and being able to rearrange my schedule.
I think that's a huge one for me. More flexible. So you guys, I asked Myra to make sure she was in this group because me and Myra go way back. And she actually helped me a lot when I was in general brokerage and getting started. So I'm really glad that she shared, and she might not be as caught up as some of you guys are who started at the beginning. So Myra, have you gotten to the one that talks about time blocking and activity blocking?
Yes, part of why I'm doing that.
Yeah, perfect, cool. Because I think that's why Scott talks about activity blocking. We have a tendency to want to plan because a lot of good salespeople love to plan and never implement. So we plan out every moment of what I've got 30 things I have to do today. So from 2:15 to 2:17, I'm going to do this one thing. And then you're stressed when somebody pops in and throws that off. And so the activity blocking is great because you can pick your priorities for the day and then you can move on. I think a cool one to share is actually, as cheesy as it is, the Big Rock experiment that we did. So does anybody know what the Big Rock thing is? No? Okay. So it's hard without a visual. But if you had a container and you had a bunch of rocks and they represent all the crap that comes in, all the interruptions, all the things that stress you out, and you put them in your container first, and then you have big rocks. These are your important things, your kids, your business, your physical health, maybe, and you try to put those on top of those other rocks, you're over capacity. You can't fit everything in. If you put the big rocks first and then fill in the little rocks around it, it fits. The point being, do the big shit first, right? Do the important stuff first. Make that your priority for the day. And then if everything else in life goes to crap around you, around those things, you are secure and you're not as stressed out and you're getting your things done. So actually, it was a fun little experiment at our market meeting on Monday. But no, it was really good. And so if you're working with a team and you're trying to keep them motivated, that one's fun. Everybody will laugh. Just pull that little experiment out of your hat.
Cool. All right. Great wins and challenges. Thank you all for sharing. We are going to move on with our 20-minute topic today, which is the real estate report card. Let me switch my screen really quickly.
Quick plug for Movement, who sponsored it.
Yes.
All right.
So can everyone see, did my screen update to say real estate report card, Wake County at the top? Okay, perfect. So this comes from MBS Highway, and actually Alex is here. Alex, can you tell us just a little bit about what MBS Highway is and why and how Movement is affiliated with this product?
Yeah, so MBS Highway is run by Barry Habib. He's one of the top market predictors in the industry. So he's somebody that we lean on very heavily when it comes to, we talk to you guys about what rates are doing, what they have done, why, what they're planning to do. We're smart enough to know most of this stuff, but this is way high level. And this is something that we use to really speak intelligently to agents, to clients, on what we're predicting to do throughout the rest of the year. Now, in addition to talking about the market and what it's going to do, there's a lot of stuff that is agent friendly in here that you guys can use for open house flyers, for this real estate report card. You can go in and put in specific counties. You can do, there's things that, you know, when the market was crazy and we were adding over asking price, you can go in and show that client where their break even is going to be with their equity in their homes. There's all sorts of tools in here that you can keep in your tool belt. And we have given true access to this. Now, this side of this is more of a lender facing thing, but there are so many agent tools in here that you guys can use to help show your clients. And there's some things in here that you can use to show them information that is stuff that you can't necessarily go through directly. Like there's some things, I wouldn't say demographic wise, but there's things in here that'll tell you, okay, this is your crime rates for this area. This is the better schools. This is all the information for the specific houses and the zip code. Nicole, you I know have used this pretty regularly with some clients, so you can speak more to how that affects on your end. We just provide it for you.
So I love this tool, guys. So we're going to give you an overview of the median house price in Wake County because that seems pretty relevant to all of you guys. But just know, like, this can get into, I've sat down with clients and we looked at zip code by zip code within Durham at the same house price, where it's projected to appreciate faster than another area. And that was pretty eye-opening for me. Everybody focuses on South Durham, Cary, Apex, Morrisville, but all the predictions, now this was late last year, but all the predictions were actually showing that places like North Durham or Harnett County or Willow Spring, those are likely going to appreciate faster. And I think that inherently we know that, but being able to show it to a client that these predictions on average are saying that you will actually make more money on your house in this area than if you were in that area. Now, obviously you have to have your disclaimer about this is just a prediction, you know, this is nobody promising you anything, but it's huge. So I'm going to go through each section of it and kind of give you a breakdown of where this is helpful with clients and how I use this. But before I do the report card, I will say that Alex brought up the calculators. I think partner with your Movement folks, partner with us. You can, if you want a specific tutorial for you on this, if you want us to create you a PDF of a report card for a specific thing so that you can go over it with somebody, just reach out to us and we will help you with that. The really cool one, in my opinion, is the rent versus buy calculator. So you got those people where I'll just wait. I'll just keep renting. I've got another year of my lease. I'll just wait. You can actually show them with dollars and cents how much money they could be making or losing by making that decision. And we all know where that really lands, right? You're losing money because you're not paying yourself. But To Alex's point, it shows you that break-even point, and it even calculates, okay, when you eventually sell this house, the commissions, the insurance, repairs, all of that stuff. It's really cool.
This
Okay,
is
so
perfect for that really, really like analytical buyer,
Yes.
because this is so up my alley. Like Melissa and I talk about like where we fit different with like different types of clients. These are my people, the people that need to see it in writing, the people that you can tell 100 times over something, and until they see it in writing, they're not going to believe it. This really puts it into perspective for people and gives it to them in a manner that they can understand. A lot of other programs that I've used in the past, it can be overwhelming for clients, and it's not necessarily in the most user-friendly format. And this stuff is very easy to digest for somebody that does this every day and for somebody that has no freaking clue what you're showing them.
And if you guys don't know who Barry Habib is, Movement, Alex and Melissa did post into our group the recap of his latest webinar, which was huge. Unrelated to Melissa and Alex, we have a call every Monday in the morning with the heads of our credit department who go over a bunch of lending and financing and stuff for us, boots on the ground. They brought up that video and they played it for us.
Yeah,
so this is important.
He's won the Crystal Ball Award the last couple of years in a row for market prediction. So when your lender tells you, hey, the market's up, we want to float today, hey, the market's down, like it's time to lock, or, you know, I'm getting a floating status. That's where these things are coming from. They're coming from Hammer with Originator Success. They're coming from Barry Habib here with MBS Highway. And we do get notifications throughout the day about the market and what it's doing. And again, we've all been doing this long enough that we have an idea, but this is somebody that this is their sole job. They're not doing mortgages. They're not, you know, dealing with clients. His job is to watch the market and make our jobs easier.
Yep. And I will say about the report card, the way I found it to be efficient to use is to not try to go over all of the information with everybody. You might have that one person that you do all of these pieces with. This is meant to be a toolbox, and you pull your tools out as needed. So let's start with the stuff at the very top. You see this median income. Ariel, could you scroll down to the key at the bottom? So we got 3 gold diamonds. Top 10%. We all know this, but showing it to somebody and something that is not you saying it is huge. So we're in the top 10% of the country for median income. And then the 2 silver diamonds. What was that one again?
That one's the top 20%.
Top 20% for appreciation forecast. So this is big. So let's start with the median home price. The median home price in Wake County is $462,390, which blows my mind. I've been in this business too long, apparently. But what I find helpful here is price per square foot. So the median price per square foot in Wake County is $239. So when you have that client who goes, I want new construction for $110 a square foot, the first thing you do is call me and Ariel, because we can actually do that some places. Let's be real, we can. It's a big house, but we can do it. But realistically, do you think that's going to happen? That's half of the average, including the resale. And new construction does tend to be at a higher price per square foot than resale, except for the past few years. So that's a helpful one when you're gauging a particular property and comparing. That's something you can pull up and you can say, hey, listen, this one's actually performing a lot better than the median. Appreciation. So what I love about this one is they do the 63-year average, the 10-year average, the 5-year average. So on your purple side is your historical data. So on average in the market, we tend to, in the Raleigh-Durham area, Wake County, do 5 to 8% price appreciation, and that's the 10-year average. The last 5 years, obviously, it's skewed. It's higher because we had 30% price appreciation years, and then we had lower. So we all knew that there was going to be deceleration, right? We were going to slow down on how fast we were price appreciating when the rates started to go up. So that's where you get your 1-year average, 1.81. Key here, it's still going up. That's the point. It's still projected to go up. You can actually manipulate this, by the way, with the little pencil on the side and pick out which forecast you want to use. If you want to use an average, if you want to use specific ones, so you can tailor that. The 5-year average, look at the 5-year average, 16.68%. So divide that by 5. We're hanging out around 3 to 4%. We're getting back to normal over the next 5 years. You're going to see pockets where this is higher. So if you were to change this by zip code, you might actually see that one zip code appreciates or is projected to appreciate higher than another. Don't make full buying decisions off of that, right? Because that's a projection, but it could help with those people who are like, I'm not going there. I'm not going there, right? Here's a huge one, 5-year gain. It tells you year by year based on that forecast of price appreciation, how much money in 5 years this client is expected to make on this house. So when you have that client who needs to be buying their first home or the next like stepping stone home to build their equity, and they want their forever home, this is helpful. Hey, we can get you into something, you can stop paying rent, and you can make $77,000 in the next 5 years instead of losing. And there's the rent calculator. That's where you throw that one in. Even just a year, I'm going to wait a year. Okay, so you'd like to lose about $8,000 in the next year, plus the cost of all your rent. So that's a helpful tool with that one. This is where I kind of start to nerd out, is when we go down to the next one. Okay, so based on the number of homes that are available to sell in Wake County, there are 2 homes available for every 1,000 people. That one is hugely impactful when you say that to somebody. When they say, oh, the inventory's up, it's 200% higher than it was last year. Yes, it is. It most definitely is, but there's still only 2 homes available for every 1,000 people. Year over year, Wake County's level of inventory has gone up 161%. Month over month, it's gone up 4%. That's another one. If you kind of think about that, that means that that inventory growth is slowing, right? Then it kind of breaks down demographics, which I know we don't really talk. We like to stay away from that one, but this is helpful information for you guys. These are your demographic breakups of the different age ranges. So I think we had a great conversation with Scott, and I will mention one big takeaway that he said yesterday, because I think it's important. The National Association of Realtors did a study that said in the next 5 years, what was it, 80% of the business was going to be done by people who've only been in the business for 5 years. It's because of the way they go about doing their business and the way they relate to people between 18 to 44. Because if you add those 3 numbers together, right, when you look at demographics, that's your chunk of the market and how they buy. So just keep that in mind. This one is huge. So there's 1.16 million total population in Wake County. 100 or about maybe like a quarter of those, a little over a quarter of those are renters. And only 103,000, 4,000 of those renters can actually afford to purchase in Wake County. So when you're having these conversations with people who are renting in Wake County, this is important. Don't just assume they can afford Wake County. I think you're all savvier than that, but they assume they can afford Wake County, right? And they are a sliver. What is that, like less than 10% of people who live there are renters who can actually afford to stay there? So then the next one, this is another favorite one of mine. Household formations. So based on the 27 to 35 population, people who are creating new households, then you've got the first time home purchases to be taken from the inventory. And then how many homes are actually being built? I want you to pay attention to the household formations number and the actual homes being built, right? They're basically the same. So we're not building fast enough to accommodate everybody. So the little blue boxes with the check marks are the actual homes being built. Then the blue ones are the ones that are needed. And then you've got, for the first time that I've seen in a very long time, a slight surplus. Now this is talking about household formations and first-time home buyers. So the little gray boxes are the ones that are left for everybody else. First-time home buyers are going to start taking over the market. Right? Let that one sink in. So when you've got somebody who's downsizing just because they can, because they want to, and they're trying to be really picky and stuff, this might be a good one for them. Hey, there's a whole bunch of people behind you that are not picky. They won in that first home. All right, let's check out employment, which is one of my favorites. So this is the employment trends in the thousands. We had a meeting on Monday and we were talking about how Raleigh job growth is about, like, from where we were looking on that graph, I think it was September 2021 to September 2022. There was about 50,000 jobs created in the triangle. For every job, or for every, so every job you need, no, for every 1.5 jobs, you need a house. That's what it is. So basically a little less than 2. So you basically need another 25, 30,000 homes in the triangle to support those jobs. That's not even counting the people who are already here. That's just people coming. And we built about 12,000. Isn't that what he said on Monday? So we're building at half the rate that we need to supply the people coming in. This is huge. Unemployment rate. The national average is 3.4. We're at 3.03 in Wake County. Obviously, 2020 was higher, COVID, all of that. So we're trending below the national average for unemployment rate. One of the things Barry talked about in the talk that he did was unemployment rates and recessions, and I might kick that back to Alex in just a second to kind of talk about as well. But just what happens in that scenario when we go into a recession and when people freak out and focus, unfortunately, on the job loss, which is unfortunate. But then what also happens with how many people can now afford to buy, because rates follow inflation, right? Median household income, the national average is $55,698. The median in Wake County is $84,395. People make more money on average. We have more jobs on average. This is all the dynamics that are leading into this. It leads into the very last slide, the affordability index. So 100 is kind of your national average, right? Is I'm getting that right?
Yeah,
Alex?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I've got a client texting me. I was half paying attention. This part down here is basically Raleigh's not in a bubble. That's what we should call this. There is no bubble.
So just so you know how to interpret this, the national average is 100. That's your baseline. Raleigh has been anywhere from almost 250 to well above 100 for a very long time. We just hit right at 100. And you can see it's on a steep decline because of the behavior in the market. If this continues, affordability is going to disappear in the triangle area in the way that we think about it. There's a lot of strategies that builders like True put into place, and a lot of great companies are putting into place to try to help movement, everybody, to try to help with affordability. However, the days of I'm going to move to Raleigh and buy a 6,000 square foot house for $300,000 are very well and gone, right? So it's what I was talking about earlier, $400,000 entry level price point, $600,000 for a 3,000 square foot house. That's not, I had one in Durham that hasn't even started yet that was listed for not listed. It's just, we knew the price was going to be $599.9. And somebody snatched it up because when we looked at the criteria of that 4,000 square foot house with 5 beds and 3 baths for $599 in Durham on a 0.3 acre lot in a cul-de-sac, the only thing that matched it was Virginia, Charlotte, and Jacksonville, North Carolina. There was nothing else anywhere closer than that. This is where we're at now. So to Alex's point, Raleigh's not in a bubble. Tell people to stop watching the news unless it's about Raleigh specifically and there's context given on both sides, which we all know the news doesn't do. So this is a really good tool to pull out, and based on your conversation with your buyer, please have a conversation with your buyer before you pull this out, and you know what their thought process is, you know what their budget is, you know what they're looking for and where they're looking for it. You can pull out different tools here to effectively show them where they're really at and how we can help them, because we can help them right now, right? There's still time for that.
Would everybody like a copy of this emailed to them today for Wake County?
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll go ahead.
Can you do Johnston County too? Can you do Johnston County too? Thank you.
Sure. we'll pull this for Wake County, Johnston County, Durham, and Harnett, since those are our main areas, and we'll post them in the Facebook group so everyone has access.
Yep. And then if you want something specific, a specific price point in a specific area or something like that, call us, call Movement, Melissa or Alex, and we'll work with you on this.
Yeah, you
So-
can do, if you have a specific, like a listing or something, or you're taking your client to a specific home, you can go direct via MLS number to pull reports in this system as well.
So, Alex, tell us a little bit about what Barry said about what happens with job loss in a recession, but then what the other hand is with rates potentially going down and affordability.
You say that like I was on that last call and not doing loans for you
Okay.
guys.
Well, then I'll do it.
Typically, they're going to follow when the economy, when they say recession, the numbers usually follow a year behind that. We'll start to see recovery within a year. Now, some people say we've said recession, some people say we haven't. The projection is through the end of the year, we're going to start to see improvements. Fannie Freddie are saying slightly different than what Barry is saying, but they're all saying down. The last thing that I saw, and again, I haven't seen the last two webinars because I need to go back and rewatch them, is that we should see 5.5, 5.25 by the end of the year. Now, that's probably going to change as the year goes on and as things evolve. We keep doing crazy stuff internationally. It's going to ebb and flow. It always is. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But we should see some correction by the end of the year as those job numbers change.
So one of the things that he said that really struck with me was like, when you're in a recession, of course, you're going to have job loss. And if that's not great. It's horrible for the people who lost their jobs. But everybody tends to freak out because they're like, oh, the real estate market, it's done. We're done. Everybody lost their job. Well, what typically happens, I think he said you lose, like in a recession, he was talking about specific numbers, and I want to say it was like 1 million or 2 million jobs. But when the rates go down, 1 point, I think it was, he said. So if we went from 6.5 to 5.5, right? 5 million people who were waiting on the sidelines to buy can now afford to buy. So now we actually have a surplus of buyers compared to what we had before the job loss.
1 million is a large number, but if you look at it in percentages, it's not.
Right. It's less than what, like 0.3% or something of the population. It's like it's a lot of people, and it's unfortunate, but it's not. The news tends to make us freak out over these headlines, but they don't tell the other hand. And the other hand is now we have a rush of people who can afford to buy, and they were waiting, and it's going to be floodgates, right? Have they broken it down by race? Nishette said, have they broken it down by race? I don't know. Barry might have. I know that I tend to not dive too deep into the demographics in a recorded platform so that I don't accidentally say something I wasn't supposed to say or steer people a certain way. But it is very interesting information to have. So does he break that kind of stuff down by race, Alex?
I don't know. If he does, it hasn't been, as you said, on any of the recorded platforms we've done. There are some documents that dig a little more into things like that on the report cards with the areas, because you can go in and select the specific things you want to be on there. But I think because this is real estate facing, they have to be very careful commission-wise on what they're allowed to say and what they're not.
If you want more information, I think maybe where we're going with this is that there are demographics and there are situations and scenarios that unfortunately affect other people more than the major base, right? If you want more information on that, a really good experience is the Grab the Key event, which I know that you were at, but talk to the people afterwards, talk to Montel, talk to some of your loan officers. Talk to them in that format. If you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, Movement puts on this amazing home buyer seminar. The first one they did in Raleigh was geared towards the partners, the agents, the people in the community, the government. Wake County Housing was there talking to us. NC Housing was there talking to us. It was a phenomenal event, and I learned so much. But then they also do a home buyer facing one, which is really cool, and I can't wait to see. But that's a great event.
we are hopefully trying to get one on for either an additional agent one in the fall or a home buyer one. We wanted to get the first one since it was new to the area and really get the agent engagement to get the buy-in to be able to have them feel comfortable bringing their clients. Because let's be honest, guys, people don't show up to home buyer seminars. It's very rare that you get people to come to these things unless they really have the buy-in. And I think we had close to 100 people at this event, and I'm trying to choose my words carefully here, but it is an amazing thing, and we are trying very, very hard to help be part of a solution of bridging the gap for kind of the conversation that we're talking about here. And I think it has the ability to have some major impact.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It's a lot of it is one of the things they talked about in the Grab the Key is a lot of people who are underserved in this space have a fear around it, and stuff like this kind of information is a tool that you can empower people with if you do it the right way. So if you want some one-on-one time where we can talk about how you can do any specific things together on having these conversations with people regardless of their demographics who are just maybe not as educated on the market, they're first-time home buyers, or they're just fearful of things with the market. This is where we can help them. Does anybody have any last questions before we wrap up? No?
If not, I think that's it for this week. Thanks everyone for being here. If you want to stay after and chat with me, Alex, or Nicole, we'll stay on for a couple of minutes. Otherwise, hit the phones. Hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.